Hi, everyone, and welcome to webinar number 1 for inspection, the basics. I'm Ethan Myers, and I'll be hosting these webinars today. This is the first part of a 2-part webinar series aimed at providing our commercial team a high-level understanding of inspection. These 2 webinars will really lay the foundation for future training sessions, whether they be in person or virtually globally. This first webinar, as I said, is focused really on the basics of what inspection is. So what is FreshCloud Quality Inspection? I have typed up here on the screen essentially our quick elevator pitch. Essentially, it's an integrated cloud-based quality management system, or sometimes referred to as a QMS, which focuses on improving fruit quality and their supply chain. So from a high level, that's what we're looking at. But what makes FreshCloud important or better than what's out there today? So we'll focus on this slide around the high-level system selling points. And we have 4 synthesized selling points here. It's modernized, it's fully integrated, it's scalable to the customer's business, and it's fully supported. So what we mean by these is it being modern, as we mentioned in our elevator pitch. This is a cloud-based solution, meaning that the customer will have real-time access globally to all their quality inspections. So gone are the days where they have pen and paper, they have to take pictures of it, they have to text it around, or maybe they're more advanced and they have Excel, but they have to find it, and it's maybe specific to that one location. Our system can be shared globally with 24/7 access because we are based in the cloud. Our system is also fully integrated. We really mean this in 2 ways. So we provide end-to-end coverage, both with the customer's own internal process. So sometimes we call this as dirt to box, or our solution can start all the way from pre-harvest and go all the way out to shipping. But we also mean this in terms of the whole information technology landscape, where we can integrate with their existing systems and ERP systems, size and color systems, and we can connect to them to transact live information back and forth. We are scalable to their business, so we're really built for growth, meaning that we can service a customer that handles 1 crop and has 1 inspection location, and maybe they only do pre-harvest. We can start out at that small scale of a single block, and we can grow that up to a multinational enterprise, because we're able to scale that through different databases and being cloud-based. So it really fits what the customer needs, nothing more, nothing less. And then finally, our system is fully supported. So we sell this as what's known a software as a service, which means that the customer is paying a monthly subscription fee, and with that subscription fee comes frequent updates to the system, regular customer support and check-ins, as well as our agile development methodologies. So this isn't something that we deploy at a customer site and we set it and forget it. This is something that we actively support as they use it and grow throughout the years. So from these high-level system selling points, we can kind of break those down into a couple key benefits. And again, this is highly synthesized. These webinars are just to kind of build the foundation and get you guys understanding and on the same page of, really at a high level, what inspection is. But most of the learning will be done in these other training sessions, whether again in person or live virtually. So the key top 4 benefits that I've listed out on this slide, it really comes down to reducing the operational cost, increasing productivity, streamlining compliance, and enhancing their process automation. So when it comes to selling things, typically people will buy things of one to two reasons. The first one being their ego and basically how does it make them feel? And the second one comes down all to dollars. And what we try and do in our sales approach is identify, which is those two things important, but at the end of the day, obviously there's going to be a cost and a value component to it. So that's why we really like to list these key benefits out to start to get to those real world examples of how our system will actually pay for itself for these customers. So if we're looking at reducing operational cost, one real world example would be we are eliminating all of those, repetitive, high effort, low value tasks from their process completely. So an example of this may be grouping a bunch of Excel inspections together to get a chart of what starch progression over the month has looked like based on these inspections. Our system can do that automatically. Right now, depending on the customer, that may take them anywhere from 30 minutes to multiple hours, depending on how easy they can get to their data. Following along with that, increased productivity. So one real world example would be the real-time trend analysis and data sharing across the organization for immediate insights and notifications. So typically we'll see this in terms of a customer setting up alerts in our system, or if an inspection fails, they get immediately notified that something has failed. Let's say it in this example on the packing line, they get immediately notified and they can immediately go out there, see what's happening and put a root cause in place. Typically customers, it may slip through the cracks. Maybe it takes someone walking across the building to notify the manager. Our system automates that whole process so it won't rely on a person having to do something. They just do their day-to-day jobs and that alert will trigger and kick off that root cause workflow. The next piece here is streamlining the compliance. So that goes to monitoring and managing quality from each supplier. Again, this can happen through alerts, but also through scorecards and analytics. So we provide an analytics dashboard that comes standard to all of our customers, which we'll be going through later in this webinar series. But those standard dashboards all have filters on them. So if a particular customer wants to scorecard a grower or wants to get that month's records of a particular block, they can streamline the whole process that they typically go through, and they can put those filters in place, filter the data, and immediately what will come back is all the data that they need in order to make those compliance decisions. How did this batch do on the line? How is this particular lot performing or aging in storage, and streamlining that whole process. And then the last piece that we have here in our top 4 key benefits. Again, this is synthesized. There's a lot more that goes into it, but from a high level, we're talking about enhancing the process automation. And so we've seen cases where we can automate the escalation of non-compliances and make that in terms of immediate attention. So we have a customer where they're doing their whole root cause and corrective action system through inspection. And so they can assign root causes to particular parties or particular people, and you can have the system run that process through. So you can set a due date on it. If that due date passes, the manager and the person assigned will both get an email saying, hey, there's action needed here. And then you can start to run metrics off of that. So you really automate that non-compliance process to make sure that everyone's doing what they should be doing. So after we have these key benefits in place, what's really important to understand next is based on these key benefits, how do we then break the system down into product features to show the customer how we're achieving those? And so again, we have 4 simple key product features that are really the main selling point of what inspection is. And that is as a easy to access repository of all quality information. Another product feature is all around process control. The third being detailed multi-purpose analytics. And then finally, for some of the bigger or more particular customers, we offer some advanced and bespoke modules that really hone in on a particular area that customer may need help in. So moving on to the first one, an easy to access repository for all quality information. So in order to achieve that, essentially what we've built our system to do is do 4 key features here. So the first thing is the inspections that are captured. We provide that all on an easy to see and view dashboard. And for all of these different benefits and product features, in our second webinar, which the agenda will be at the end, we'll be showing this live on the dashboard itself. But this is just to get you primed for understanding where we're going. The second piece here, we've also included dynamic color coding on our system. So you can imagine a fail would be red, a pass would be green, and then maybe you have a hold as your yellow color coding. And so when you're looking at this dashboard, it just pops off the screen to you where you need to pay attention to and can really dive down into fixing what needs to be fixed. As I mentioned earlier, we also have filtering options that goes along with this repository of all quality information. So it makes it very easy to find things that you need. So for example, hey, this grower's fruit failed on the line. I want to look at all the inspections prior to that to see how the fruit was running. You can easily filter for that grower and see that history. And then finally, the system wouldn't be complete without being able to share all of these reports. So we've made it very easy to take the cloud-based inspection and then move it into a PDF and send that PDF out via email. So the next product feature that our system really takes into account for is the process control. And this goes back to the example that I gave previously around alert triggering. Whether a inspection fails, you can automatically send out an email, possibly with a PDF of the inspection itself. So the manager, let's say, knows what's happening in their area. But you can also set up other alerts, like if the average pressure is over a certain amount, or if the average starch is over a certain amount, we can trigger alerts around that. The second piece here, which is really groundbreaking, is being able to auto score inspections. So we have a couple customers who asked us, hey, how can we improve our process? What are you learning from other customers that may help us? And upon looking into the data and really doing a deep dive on it, we saw in a couple customers that there was significant bias with some particular inspectors when it came to passing and failing fruit. So you can imagine you may have one inspector who is maybe by mistake passing inspections that should be failing, or vice versa, based on the quality parameters that are in that inspection. And what we can do with our system is we can actually automate that scoring process. So the inspector now can really focus on what are the external defects, what is the pressure, what is the bricks, rather than having to think how that ties into a certain quality spec. All they have to do is capture what that fruit is currently like, and we can train the system to then automatically score that inspection for them, whether it be give them a grade or give them a pass fail. And then the last piece underneath process control is all around making sure that the inspector adheres to the process that our customer wants them to adhere to. So we do that in a couple different ways, but the most interesting and beneficial way, I'll say, is making certain fields mandatory and then having certain fields be used in drop-down lists. So there's no more typos, there's no more mistakes. They have to fill out certain fields, whether it be the grow or the block, so you know where the fruit's coming from. And then on top of that, we can tap into their barcoding system so they can scan a barcode and automatically populate information from that that's tied to that barcode. So they don't even have to risk, choosing the wrong drop down in a list. We can auto populate all that for them. So at the end of the day, they're focused on what is this fruit's quality right now, and let's capture it in the system. Okay, so moving on to the next piece, we're talking about detailed multi-purpose analytics. And so, as I said earlier, standard, we provide all of our customers with a standard dashboard that shows all their analytics. And we work with them to understand what metrics are important in their operation. And we look to mirror that in our inspection system. What we also add on top of that is different filtering options. We provide season over season trends, and then we also allow them to group through these filters, by grower or vendor or maybe batch, and allow them to really create a scorecard. So you can imagine you may have a packer who receives in a bunch of fruit from different growers, and they may want to see, over the month on average, what grower A's fruit looked like coming in the door. And maybe there's some financial aspects where in the contract they have to provide a certain quality of fruit. And so now this packer can easily filter by that grower, see all the averages, see all the trends, and very easily scorecard them based on where that grower should be. And that applies to vendors or different batches or maybe even varieties if they want to get into variety specific analytics. And then the final key product feature that we offer and some of the options behind or below it are predictive packout, which is a really powerful module which takes into account the size and color breakdown for a certain grouping of bins. And then as you store that fruit, we're providing an analytics dashboard that we call predictive packout that shows by room what the size and color breakdown is of that room by bin count. So these sales and marketing desks can really see what fruit they have stored where, which helps them in that sales process and marketing process. We also have some other bespoke modules like vendor spec management. So for some of the larger companies, they're tracking their vendors based on their different specifications and validity to do business through certifications, and they're managing all of that through their system. And they're having our system automatically send out emails to these vendors to alert them that their certification is coming due and they need to send that through. We also have site audit tracking. So this comes down to some of the health and safety protocols. So what were the water treatments used? How were the lines cleaned? Some customers are even using this for, has the break room been cleaned? What does the inside of the microwave look like? And they're doing that over their whole site for those different GMP audits. And then finally, as I mentioned before, we have that full corrective action management module for customers who really want to track their root causes, their corrective actions, and then seeing that through to completion. You can do that through our system as well. We call this the bespoke modules because these are what customers have asked for and we've developed, and we can now offer that as part of that software as a service mindset where there's new updates that come out. But this will not ever be the complete list. As we have more customers wanting customized coding for their system, this list will continue to grow. So this would be a good slide to pause on or take a screenshot of. This is in preparation for the webinar number 2 and for the live training sessions. We've created a demo site, which we've called Apple Demo. And this lives within our cloud. And here is all of the information in order to download the app, navigate to the web portal, different logins, whether you're in the tablet or the web portal. And this will allow you the chance to get in the system, get acquainted with it, play around. So simply on the tablet, we're on Android and the Apple stores. You can search for AgroFresh, and you can see the logo on the right. The app is called FreshCloud QI. So you can download that on your smartphone or your tablet. And then we have an inspector login for the tablet and a web portal URL and username and password. So the tablet or the smartphone is really where the inspectors capture the information on the go using their Wi-Fi connection, or if Wi-Fi is not available, it'll store locally on the tablet, and when they get back in range, it will get updated to the cloud. So that's really for the actual inspection process. And then the web portal on the bottom here is primarily for the management user, the people who are going to be reviewing the information, looking at the analytics, the sales team, the marketing team, those folks. So when it comes to selling this tool, typically we're showing the web portal mostly and what the results look like, how you can use it, the real value from it. But we also have the ability to showcase the tablet and how it can potentially save significant time in their process by having everything digital rather than having to copy it over multiple times, maybe in a pen and paper or Excel-based form. So this is what the web portal will look like when you log in. So just between these two webinars, as a homework item, please at least log into the web portal and just take a look. We've limited the account that we provided here, so you won't be able to mess anything up. Go in there, click around, click on some of the magnifying glasses on the right there. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have your navigation page. Click around. It's very intuitive, but until you get on it, it will always be a question mark. So this is what to expect when you get in there. And again, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. Please just go in there and briefly familiarize yourself with the system, just for the general basics. So for webinar number 2, our agenda for what we've called the demonstration of our standard product features. The agenda will be so we'll go through the first feature that we talked about today, which was the easy to access repository of quality data. And what we'll do is we'll navigate around the home screen. We'll review the different inspection locations and inspection dashboards. We'll filter for some specifics, and we'll go ahead and print off some inspections and view the PDF. So just very basic stuff. But again, for these webinar series, we just want you to get comfortable with primarily the web portal itself and some of the key values and high-level benefits, so that when you're in those live training sessions, we won't have to ask the foundational questions of how do I filter something or where do I go in this scenario. The second product feature around process control. So we'll show you the mandatory fields, linked lists, and then how typically we trigger alerts and what fields that will trigger off of. And then finally, we'll go through our feature number 3, which talks more about the detailed analytics that come standard for all of our customer deployments. So we'll go through the analytics dashboard. We'll walk through some of the different graph types, how we filter those, and then how we can share those detailed analytics. So appreciate you for sticking through with me for this first webinar. Again, this was part 1 of a 2-part series, really aimed at providing specifically our commercial team with that very high level understanding of quality inspection. This may be new to some. This may be very well known for others, but this will kind of level set us for those live sessions. So again, thank you very much for watching this first webinar, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.